Retirement is a life transition that will be a massive shock for most of you. So in this video, let's go through 10 things you should do in the 10 years leading up to retirement to get you prepared both financially and psychologically so you can live a successful retirement from day one. The first thing you want to do is assess your current financial situation. Where are you at? How much debt you have? What are you saving? Where are your investments at? So many of you are not actually tracking and assessing on an annual basis or even more often what's going on in your financial world. Are you actually getting ahead? Are you moving closer to retirement from a financial standpoint? We have a net worth tracker as well as a budget form you can download from our website. We'll link those below if you need help with that. Again, you want to start tracking your budget, and it doesn't have to be a strict budget. You get later in life doing a budget, like no one wants to do that. But as you work through your net worth tracker, if it's not increasing on an annual basis, you might have to go back to the budget and get things aligned. So again, assess your current situation. Step 2 is to maximize your retirement savings. So once you understand where you're currently at, now we need to make sure we're maximizing for retirement. Now, a lot of you might think, well, that's maximizing my pension, my RSP, like retirement savings tools. But maximizing for retirement doesn't necessarily mean all of your money is going into an RSP. It could be a TFSA. It could be paying down debt. Again, the whole idea of saving for retirement is to put yourself in the best financial position for retirement. Yes, that probably means accumulating more funds in your retirement savings accounts, but it also means paying off debt, paying off your mortgage, or at least paying down your mortgage, saving money in a TFSA. If you retire without money in a TFSA, you have a lot less flexibility. So start saving up in a TFSA. You're not going to get the tax break now, but it might create that more flexibility in retirement, saving you tax later. So again, it's a balance between all of this stuff. And that's why I say it's really important to make sure you have a proper plan in place 5 to 10 years before retirement. So if there are adjustments that you need to make, you have a bit of a runway to make those adjustments. And for those of you that have a pension at work or maybe a matching RSP plan at work, make sure you're maximizing those. So many people we talk to are not maximizing free money from work. Like if your work matches you 3% of your pay and you're only putting in 1%, find a way to get to 3%. We all want to make more money, but then there's things like this we're not maximizing on. So make sure you're maximizing that work matching plan. Before we jump into tip number 3, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe button, join our community. We release 2 brand new videos every week around tax, retirement, and estate planning for Canadians. Tip number 3 is to create a retirement budget. And it's a budget / wish list. And again, I know later in life budgets are no fun, but you want to have a general idea of how much am I going to spend? How do my finances change a little bit as I enter into retirement? You might be traveling more, so you're spending more in certain areas, but you're not commuting to the office and other expenses, so those are coming down. So again, work through this sheet. And one thing you want to add in there is many of you have bucket list items. And if you don't have a bucket list item, create that bucket list item. What are the costs to do those things? You need to be considering those in your plan. And that's why it's important to have that TFSA account. Because if you want to go on a very expensive trip or buy something very expensive and all your money's in registered accounts, it doesn't create a lot of flexibility and you're going to end up paying a lot more tax than you should be otherwise. So again, this is why everything needs to come together. I always say, if you look at retirement planning in individual silos, you're lining yourself up for disaster, both from an income standpoint and a tax standpoint. You need to look at everything holistically. And that's why it's really important to make sure you have that bucket list. What do I want to do down the road? So actions I take now on where and how I save my money will line me up better for retirement. Tip number 4 is to pay down your debt. Now I realize that real estate in Canada is through the roof. It's very expensive. I live in the greater Vancouver area and homes around me are $2 million for a basic family home, which is crazy. I don't know how these young people are getting into the market, but as you get closer to retirement, you may still be carrying a mortgage, and that's okay. When you build out your retirement plan, you can build in the cost of that mortgage in there, the payments. Just make sure you can afford the ongoing payments. Stress test it in case rates do go back up. Don't see it happening, but you never know. So stress test it. But when we talk about paying down debt, make sure if you do enter retirement with any debt, the only debt you have is your mortgage. If you have credit card debt, line of credit, anything else, car debt, pay that off before you retire. It's going to give a lot more cash flow flexibility for you, which you will need in retirement. Don't take a car loan 1 or 2 years before retirement and carry that into retirement. Not a great idea. Pay cash for vehicles. So as you get closer to retirement, you need to change your mindset around debt. Try and get rid of everything you have other than your mortgage. And if you can get rid of your mortgage, try and do that too. Tip number 5 is to evaluate your insurance needs. And this is probably not you need more insurance. It's time to get rid of your insurance. Now, leading up to retirement, until retirement, for most of you, you're earning income, you might have some debt to pay off, you're still in accumulation phase, especially those last 5 to 10 years before you retire. That's typically the sweet spot. We're able to save a lot more. Like a lot of your retirement savings happens in that last 5 to 10 years. So especially if you're married or common or someone's relying on you, then you need to make sure you still have your life insurance. Because if you pass away, you might have 2, 5, 10 years of a lot of savings that's just not happening anymore, and that's very costly for the other person potentially. But as you get closer to retirement, continue to assess with your financial planner if your insurance is still needed. We do a lot of retirement plans for people that have entered into retirement that are carrying a term life insurance policy. They're paying hundreds of dollars a month for, and we assess, and there's not a need for it anymore. If they pass away, there's enough money there for the other person to live the life they want in retirement. So again, insurance is very, very important as you lead up to retirement. For some of you, you still need it in retirement, but for a lot of you, you don't. Now, for some of you, as you get close to retirement, you have renewals coming up. Should I carry my insurance or not? For 99% of you, you still need to continue with your life insurance until you retire. And again, maybe even a little bit into retirement. Because there might be someone relying on that need, especially like disability insurance. What happens if 5 years before retirement, you're a single person and you become disabled? Who's taking care of you? How's that working? Again, run through these scenarios. We don't want to face it, but we need to plan for it. So again, talk to your financial planner to make sure that this is built into your retirement plan. Tip number 6 is to plan for healthcare. So this is very important in that a lot of you have healthcare coverage through work. They're going to pay a percentage of your premiums up to a certain amount. You're somewhat covered at work for most of you. When you retire, that coverage is gone. So how are you going to pay for it? And I'll say this, most of Canadians pay out of pocket for healthcare that is not covered through MSP or whatever province or territory you live in. There's some provincial or territory coverage. Above that, you're paying out of pocket. Now, again, your typical health and dental plan, you need to run the numbers. What we recommend for most people is to look at an individual plan. So you can go to, say, Manulife or Blue Cross and buy individual health and dental plan. What's the premium and what's the benefit to you? And then look at, on an average year, how much would I use? And are you getting value out of it? And a lot of times you may not be. So again, run that test for you. If you go to dentist and you do some medications and maybe massage and chiro or whatever it is, add all those expenses up and then pretend you ran them through. Again, a lot of those plans only cover you up to $25 or $50 per practitioner per visit. Only 80% for dental up to a certain amount. So run it through there, compare it to the premiums that you need to pay, and see if it makes sense. And again, a lot of these plans, as you get older, the premiums increase over time, but your benefit doesn't increase. So just be aware of all these things. So are you better paying out of pocket, or are you better having a plan? That's one thing you need to look at. The other thing is, as you plan for retirement, you need to ensure what kind of medication, what is my typical cost? And making that in your budget as well. Again, that needs to be part of your retirement budget. The last part of it is healthcare, later in life, in-home care or a care facility. And again, the large majority of you watching this video will not need that, but we all know people that went to a care home. It was very expensive. So this is a conversation you want to have with your financial planner. Everyone has a different mindset and need for this. So again, open up that conversation with your financial planner to figure out how can you plan forward both from now to retirement and then through retirement for your expected healthcare costs. The 7th thing you need to do, and this is really important, is to update your estate plan. Now, when we talk about estate plan, there's 2 parts of it. One part of it is what your lawyer or notary will do for you, which is create your will and power of attorney and kind of your legal document saying, when I pass away or if I become incapacitated, here's what happens or here's who gets the money. The other part of it is with your financial planner to figure out, how do I create a retirement plan that if I pass away, there's the most amount of money possible after tax going to the people. So that's with your financial planner. That's what your financial planner should be doing for you. So when we say, look, we do estate planning, it's around your tax plan. So we're not doing the legal documents, we're doing the planning around, okay, you want to leave all your money to Sally, but let's make sure she's getting the most possible, but you're still enjoying retirement while you're alive. So when we talk about updating your estate plan, in this specific model, I'm talking about your will, your power of attorney, all of that. Many of you have not reviewed your will in 20, 30 years. It's outdated, it's changed. There's a lot of changes that happen. The other part that a lot of you are missing is your digital assets. We all have a digital life now, whether it's your login through Facebook, through YouTube, through social media, your bank login. Who has all that data? Where are you storing the passwords? It's really important, if you pass away, that your executor knows how to access these accounts. Again, there's kind of master password options out there, LastPass and many others, OnePass that you can use. You need one main password. Once you're logged in, you can see all your other passwords. That's one option. Some people write it down and save it somewhere. But again, you want to make sure your will, your power of attorney, and you have this digital life documented. Because if you don't have it documented, how is your executor going to get access to shut down your Facebook page? Right? You don't want to get birthday wishes on your Facebook page 10 years after you're dead. Just a little awkward. So make sure your executor has that information, or at least knows where to access that information when you pass away. Number 8 is to determine your retirement age. And a lot of you typically will have an age set in stone. So it might be 60, 65, somewhere in between typically. It might be 55, it might be 70. But a lot of us have it preset of, I am retiring at 65 because that's when my dad did, that's when my neighbor did, that's when my coworkers do. Or maybe that's when your pension goes to. There's many reasons why we pick certain ages. But I encourage you to sit down with your financial planner to actually map out a retirement plan. It amazes me how many times we'll do a plan for a client and we're like, yeah, you could have retired 3 years ago. Or maybe it's you're 10 years from retirement, but if you want to retire at 8 years, you could do that. So it opens up those conversations. It also goes the other way sometimes where they want to retire at 60 and it's like, you know what, you're going to have to go to 63 if you want to live the retirement you're hoping to live. So again, you may have a set date or age in your head, but make sure that your retirement plan actually lines up with that date. Again, you might be a bit before, a bit after. That's really important data to know. Most of us don't want to work longer than we have to. Some do, most don't. So make sure you understand when you can retire. Not when you want to retire, but when you can retire. Tip number 9 is to plan for post-retirement activities. So a lot of you are going to pick up new hobbies or continue with hobbies that you did earlier in life. I talked to someone the other day and they used to be really into music, guitars earlier in their 20s and 30s, and then life took over. And they've just retired at 60 and they're picking it back up and they actually are quite involved with it. So again, is this something you did in the past or is this a new hobby that you need to pick up? So again, that's where I talked earlier about listing what you want to do. What are your bucket list items? Some of those might be hobbies, travel, excursions, whatever it is. But if your goal is, I want to go, do a 2-day hike, but you've never hiked before, you may need to start training for that or planning for that or getting in shape for that. If it's musical instruments, what do you want to play? Should you start learning and dabbling in that now? So that when you hit retirement, you have that base understanding. So figure out what you think you want to do in retirement. It may not be perfect, but start kind of planning around that. What do I want to do in retirement and what do I need to do leading up to retirement to put myself in the best situation so I can actually do them and enjoy them and take them fully. Tip number 10 is maybe no surprise to a lot of you, but it's seek professional advice. And I know a lot of you do your own DIY plans and you think they're fantastic, and some of them are decent, I won't lie, but they're not fantastic. You need professional advice. Talk to your financial planner. There's a lot that goes into a proper financial and retirement plan. There's a lot of moving parts. I talk to 20 or 30 of you every single week. And for a lot of you, we're thinking of retirement in a silo. And again, I always talk about these silos. And these silos will be a detriment to you leading up to and into retirement. So talk to your financial planner. If your financial planner is more investment focused or insurance focused, and they don't get into the nitty gritty of retirement and tax planning, reach out to our office. We offer fee-for-service retirement plans. You can learn all about them, our costs, everything's involved in them on our website, parallelwealth.com/plan. We have all the details there. If you want to set up a call with our office to chat more, to figure out if it's the right fit, there's a link on that website to book a call with us. So again, reach out to your financial planner, reach out to our office or another financial planner, but get a professional on your side to work with you. You want to retire once and you want to do it right. Most of you are paying too much tax. You're not drawing down your accounts properly. You're not taking government benefits at the right time. You're doing a lot of things wrong and it's costing you a lot of money. And sometimes it's worth it to pay some money up front to get some professional advice, right? We do it with accountants and everything else. We want to do it with your retirement plan. I want you all to retirement in the best position possible. And these 10 tips I have for you today will help transition you in that phase. But that final kind of piece to it all is to get someone that knows how to do this to come alongside you. Put the plan in place, make those adjustments to make sure that you're walking down the proper path. Make sure your GPS is going in the right direction. So reach out to your financial planner. If you need help with it, reach out to our office. We'd be happy to help you. And all the best as you plan for retirement and walk into retirement with the best plan possible.